This is Future Fork, a show that explores the world of food and the decisions we can make today that will shape our future. On the show, you'll hear from innovators in the food space. We'll have disruptive conversations with people from around the globe who are taking the lead on topics like food sustainability, ending world hunger, food security, and so much more. I'm your host, Paul Newnham. Today we're chatting with Jean Claude Rubyogo. Jean Claude is the director of the Pan-African Bean Research Alliance, also known as PABRA, and he's currently working on crops for nutrition and health. In this episode, you'll hear about Jean Claude's inspiring journey from seed system specialist to leading a continent-wide bean revolution. We'll dive into the fascinating world of bean breeding and how it's tackling food security challenges across Africa. And we'll also explore some mind-blowing ways that cutting-edge science is being used to create super beans that could change the future of farming. Let's jump in. Jean Claude, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you with us.
Absolutely. Very delighted.
So can you tell us a little bit about your journey to lead PABRA and become a scientist working on beans?
Wow, that's a long journey. Started during my young age. I grew in small, medium farm, male-less, combining both cattle and crops. My dad was more of a cattle, my mom was more of a crops. I worked with them in the farm. When I was young, I liked animals, taking them to pasture and back during my holidays. Crops, yes, to take care of with them as well. This enterprise helped me to go to school, definitely. That was something I liked. And then I happened to do my diploma in agriculture. And when I finished the diploma, I really enjoyed that course because I got very good lecturers. I was in Butare, in a place that's what it's called now is Huye. And then I had a very good lecturers, very good professors, very good relationship with them. They had a good farm, which allowed me to practice. And most of the time, during holiday, I could go and practice what I learned in school in our farm. So when I finished, I was lucky, again, to be employed by the Rwandan Agricultural Research at that time called ISAR, Institut de Sciences Agronomiques du Rwanda. I was working in beans and within the beans. And I was 19, 20, Just you have that energy. And I happened to, again, because I had a very strong link with my parents, my family, and the farm. Every weekend, Saturday, I go home, either with the seed or with the advisory, work with them Saturday, Sunday, and then back Sunday evening to continue my research. But in that process, every new technology variety, I could pass it to both parents. The crops, my mom really got new varieties, either sweet potato, beans, cassava. So I could take them from the station to them. And we could see a change in the farm. My mom started really getting better yield, employing the neighboring, giving them new variety. She became a center of another seed producer. I could see when you use these technologies, there's a big difference. The same also with animal. My dad, we had 250 when I was a very young kid, but then the land issue was very acute. So we ended up selling, but then also we brought in artificial insemination. From 250, we went up to 10 cattle. But then when he started doing artificial insemination and a good breed, he got more milk than 250 cattle he had before. So that shows how technology can revolutionize. Change can be scientific. But of course, they were also interested to move and then to play a role within the community. So that's empowered my parents, that yes, you can empower people and they become useful to other neighboring and communities as well. So since I was working on beans, I've also seen that yes, the farmer because I was doing kind of participatory variety selection in farming systems, evaluating the variety with the community on station. So I could see the farmer who get them, they always tell you, This one I can eat more than once a day. I can eat beans more than once a day. I can eat beans twice a day. So because the production has increased, the productivity has increased. So that really pushes you to go higher. It gives you that. So I say, wow, if this I can do at the scale. So I was also lucky again to join SEAT, because in Rwanda also we're working on the project which was supported by SEAT. After my studies, I worked with the SEAT, joined the SEAT International Center for Tropical Agriculture almost 23 years ago. So the same, I was driven by impact. I was given responsibility of seed systems, impact technology transfer. So I applied what I learned when I was young, when I was working with my parents in the farm, and also the farmers was working together in different projects I was involved in. So I took that energy to Ethiopia. That was my really case where I saw a change again. And in Ethiopia, the seed systems for beans were not there. The new variety were not there. Getting to the farmers, the research station had several varieties, but none of them had gone to the communities. So that's again, we made sure that the challenge was the connection between different partners to know what are the varieties available, where do they perform. And then the traders wanted to commercialize, but they didn't have where to get the supply. Farmers didn't know. So NGOs supporting farmer, but they didn't know even research station has technology. So what we did is bring all these actors together, create a stakeholder platform, share the information, plan and replan, review and replan. And that's pushed Ethiopia productivity very high, from 0.5 ton to 1 ton.8 now in less than 20 years. The productivity almost 4 times. The export of white pea bean, which used to be like $7 or $8 million per year, moved to $100 million per year. From 2 exporters to more than 400 exporters, employing closer to 250,000 people. That's a big industry. So when you have that successful case, then it is say, well, it's possible. Because when I started in Ethiopia, people say, will you be able to work in Ethiopia the way things are not easy? I say, wow, I'm an Ethiopian. And you really, the more you get success, the more you see change, the more you feel this can be done in other place. So in that case, I again tested it in Tanzania, tested it again in Uganda. All these countries have been able to double or triple the yield by increasing the volume, increasing incomes at the farmer, increasing at the farm level, increasing nutrition. I mean, you really see a change. And also working with the NAS, the countries, so that to feel. So that's again, I say, wow. And then when they were looking for the position of leading PABRA, leading the program, so I applied like any other, but since I was really having good knowledge, good background, I think that's why I got the position I'm in. So it has been really step by step, but also driven by change, impact, and not just rest. No, you don't say I have achieved. No, you keep on challenging yourself, but you keep on being useful to many other people as well.
What would you say over the 20 years working on seed systems you've seen as the most significant change in the field?
Very, very big change. When I started working on seed systems for beans, that was 2002. I mean, before I had, because that's when I joined the SEAT. But before that also I worked on seed systems in the development organization, GIZ in Kenya, but also in Rwanda when I was as a research technician. So people were not commercializing bean seed. Bean seed nobody was say, wow, seed, you can always get it from the stores. Nobody can really think about getting the seed from, no interest, no demand. So it was like really new varieties were not going out at all. What we have done now, the time between what we call release, when you release a variety, and to avail to the farmer, between release and use, was going up to 10, 15 years. So you release a variety, 10 years, that variety still, nobody knows it. So we managed to reduce that time between release and use from 10, sometimes 15 years to less than 2 years to 3 years. So we have a variety now, which even before they are fully released, people know this variety and they are planting them. So in 2 to 3 years, you can get 100 to 50, 150, 100, 200 tons going to the communities or produced, and people are demanding it. So now people know there's a difference between good seed, variety they're interested in, and any grain they can get and plant. So good. We have also been able to do in many places that private sector is investing in that as well. And they're interested to get this one. Farmers are interested. The demand is increasing. And of last, the bigger change is to work now from the perspective of demand. So we work with the grain traders, because the grain traders, there are some commercializing 5,000 metric tons, 10,000 metric tons, but they need a specific variety. They need a yellow, they need a white bean, they need a kidney, they need a red mottle. So if they need a volume, somebody has to plant that volume, the supply. And somebody who plants needs seed. And that seed should be that variety. So we have been able to do the demand-led seed systems, which linked also to our demand-led breeding. And this has revolutionized the way things are done, and the demand and the supply. So the adoption of new varieties has gone very high, very significant. That's why now the yield I was talking about came because of that change. And the moment you get a new variety, what really very interesting, the varieties, sometimes farmers are very interesting. They start wanting to observe, what is that? How does it perform? So when they get a new variety, they start questioning, is that different from the existing ones? And then when that's happened, and they can see this variety A is different from variety B, they start weeding, they start applying soil fertility improvement technology, they start taking care of post-harvest management, they start taking care of pests, and then that's how the yield increases. It's an incremental. That's how we were able to double and triple the productivity, because starting from new variety, good quality seed, which incentivizes the farmer, which allows them to get more incomes, and they can plow back in their investment. And then now the government are also investing as well, which is the right thing, supporting their communities. We have seen in Malawi, we have seen here in Rwanda, they have a lot of interest as well. So that really shows that the strong seed systems linking with the breeding, which is also very efficient, can help to unblock the entire value chain. But you need to have in mind what is demanded, and you go to the supply, not supply so that's to meet the demand. You have to start understanding what drives the consumer, what drives the whole entire value chain.
So tell me, for people who don't know, tell us a little bit more about what is PABRA.
PABRA is a Pan-African Bean Research Alliance, which brings together the researchers. That means the international researchers like from the Alliance of Biodiversity International and CIAT, who are working on beans as well. And then the 31 national research institutions, organizations, across 31 countries in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa particularly, and the value chain actors, because our research is value chain oriented, is thinking about what drives the consumer, what drives other people within the value chain. They are member of the alliance, the Pan-African Bean Research Alliance, so that they can guide the research, provide the feedback, but also be part of that research continuum. And then we have several NGOs and civil society supporting the communities, because beans has several good benefits. We are talking beans for food. We are talking beans for also when farmers sell, because there's somebody who needs beans in town or somewhere, they make money. There's entire value chain, people can make cash. But also soil fertility improvement, good for planet and soil. There are also people even who use it for animal feed. And then there are also people who look at beans to improve the marginalized or the women, the youth, because beans are short duration, 65 days to 90, you harvest. There's no other crop. And you plant 1 kilogram, you get 20, average, or sometimes 15. So beans have multiple purpose, and that attracts several people who are interested. So the alliance brings all these interests together, and we define a research based on their interests, on country demand, and then we move forward. So the alliance is really a multi-stakeholder, which combine both research which is demanded by the users, but also those users who use the research products to go to the scale. So we contribute our research products, our knowledge, our smart partnership and capacity building, and other people say, wow, this is an ingredient for us to go further, to expand what we want to do. So PABRA brings all these actors together. We have also started getting the financial services, because once you have a value chain, definitely people need cash farmers need to be paid on time, so the grain trader has to pay them. So in that case, nobody can have $1 million to pay farmers. So we're bringing the financial institutions together. We're bringing, of course, government, either policymakers or government resources as well, because ownership of the country, that's the goodness of PABRA. PABRA is based on country ownership. The 31 countries own it. You have seen here in Rwanda, the national program own what you get. It's a matter of say, well, we have a partner who is interested, or they can also call me. So we don't have a bigger and smaller in this partnership. All of us, we are equal. We know we have to contribute to make the network and the alliance work going forward. So that's what PABRA is.
And breeding beans, talk to me just for people that aren't sure what that means. And what does that mean?
Breeding beans, it's an amazing work. It's really looking on different combination of traits. It's a science, but also the listening is engaging. It's a science because you are dealing with genetic materials which have a trait. A yellow, it's yellow because that's trait. A red is red because of that trait. High productivity is influenced by the trait. Disease and pest resistance. So a breeder understands that complexity of genetics and environment and how the beans. But also, you also combine with the consumers. Currently, in the past, when you grew up, beans were beans. We didn't care about firewood. No. They could ask us, go and get firewood, and they will cook maybe 3 or 4 hours with the 3 stones. Now, the population is urban. People want also to enjoy life. Nobody wants to cook for long. So we are breeding for short cooking time. So that we reduce people's time in the kitchen. We reduce cutting firewood. We reduce, that's also contribute to reduction of emissions and climate change. So you take into consideration, when I grew up again, the growing season were longer. We have reliable rains, not very erratic. So this time, we need varieties which are climate resilience. And this change of climate change comes with the disease, comes with the pest, comes with the water deficit or excess water. So all that requires a breeder to go and look at it. So you deal with the consumer, good consumption trait, high palatability. Now people say less gas, flatulence, cooking time, the color. And then you go back also to have a better yield because the farmer can only be incentivized by better yield because what they put in and what they get out. But also, when they sell, it's sold at a higher price. So that will allow the farmer to invest in the farms. So you can see how breeders is a combination of all these elements, both natural science, but also understanding the consumer. So market intelligence, consumer intelligence, and then you can develop the right product. Without the right product, because breeding is very important and it's long term. It's not something you can wake up and say, I'm going to get a variety. No, there are people who think, yes, I can make a crossway A and B and that's it. No, you get a different one. And you need again to do another cross, back cross until you get a product you are looking for. Without right product, which is that variety, then farmers will not invest. So even when you say, I'm going to develop a market, the market you develop it because you have the right variety. And that's long-term effort. We really appreciate the contribution of people who make that happen, who are patient, like Global Affairs Canada, USAID, ICR, BMGF, the government you have in Africa, who understand that breeding is not 1, 2 to 3, 4 years. No, it's a long term. Because PABRA is more now than 27 years. Can you imagine the donors are with us in that long period? Otherwise, the donors say, well, if I don't get a result in 3 years, you are gone. No, they know how long it takes. It's like a road under permanent construction. That's how breeding is. Because the challenge are too many, either biophysical, but also consumers' opportunities are emerging. So you need to fit in all that as well. So it's very enjoyable. And then you have also to have a seed systems to get these varieties out. Because if you don't have seed systems, that variety will not be useful. It's like building all this and you don't use it. You've invested 1 million in this house, but you don't use it or don't rent it. Wow. But for us, we have been very lucky. We get demand-led breeding, and now we have demand-led seed systems, and we're able to get the varieties out and make a big change.
Can you tell me what you're most proud of in the work that you do at PABRA?
It's a change of livelihood, change of business. I like when research, what we do, what my colleagues and I do, get the right product, right innovation, and we share with other people. And then you will see a farmer who used to say, well, here I was eating beans once per week, but as a result of high productivity, high yield, I eat beans every day. I used to like the moms say, well, my children didn't go to school. Now I can take them to school. Even clothes, farmers say, well, I was not happy with the clothes I have, but I bought now good clothes. Sometimes it's small, but it's big in their eyes. I used to have this house which was maybe not well done or grass touched. Now I'm comfortable. I can also have even electricity. I visit several farmers who have changed. They have a gas in their house, biogas, or they have electricity. I can also see when I see business growing, like what I said in Ethiopia. When you see a factory processing beans and employing 20, 30 people directly, and others, maybe 100 who are indirect, and the value chain, as a result of a variety which has been released, how do you feel? You create a business opportunity, you create a livelihood as a result of that's good breeding and research. So that's what makes us happy. That's what drives us to see really people interested in what we do. Their livelihood improves, better nutrition, better conditions in which they live in, and a better investment in their farms and in the beans they grow. So that's really something we are very proud of. I mean, we're talking about, we have now so far closer to 45 million farmers growing our varieties, and more than 300 enterprise, again, working with us and who are making business out of these varieties and our technologies. And you have, majority of them are women. Almost 60% of these farmers are women who really have improved their conditions. And these entrepreneurs, again, a good number of them are women. So you can really empower the marginalized through beans and through other technologies. So that's what makes us very excited and keep on going day by day. Yeah.
And the types of varieties, you're also addressing different challenges that we face around nutrition and around climate or around cooking times and these kinds of different things. Talk to me a little bit about what are the biggest challenges that you're facing at the moment in trying to address through this breeding program?
Some of the major challenge, it's really working with the climate, which you don't know. Sometimes I think that's a challenge. Adequate investment in our research facilities. It requires a lot of investment to get that variety you're talking about. To address nutrition, high iron, zinc, to mainstream it in our research. We need more labs. Understanding now people are complaining, this gives us flatulence. We haven't understood the genetic factor behind this complexity. So, of course, we can't do it alone, but we can team up with other advanced labs and do it. But it requires investment in very good research. Investment in research is very critical, and we don't have adequate for long-term thinking. I think that is one of the challenges as a researcher. The second one, though we have made a lot of advances in seed systems, we still, several areas we haven't, because I'm talking that we have maybe reached closer to 45, but sometimes maybe per year, the new variety reaches to 5 million or so. But in Africa, we're talking about 150 million smallholder. We have a long way to go to get this variety in the hands of the farmer. So an efficient seed systems, an efficient way to get the varieties out, it's across different agroecology, different user system, is something we need to pay attention. It's a challenge. But also making sure that the farmer keep on having better profitability. At the end of the day, it's profitability is what comes out of that farm. And sometimes the soil fertility becomes a challenge, is one of the limitations. Soil fertility, to address it. Of course, we are approaching it from the angle that when you have a better yield, you can invest in your farm. Sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the soils are completely degraded, but that's the only farm somebody has. It requires investment in lime if the pH is low. It requires investment in another fertilizer, organic matter as well, organic manure, access to seed, access to market. And then we are talking about wider geographical coverage. But we are there. Beans it's very interesting. It's the only commodity which Africa does not really import in a big way as a grain. They could be importing already processed products. That's another challenge. We may sell the beans out to outside, to Dubai and many other people, and then we buy the processed canned beans back to Africa. So we need also to think value addition, investment in the value chain. That's another challenge. But want to interest investors to see how they can see beans as a full investment destination.
Can you just share on a breakthrough that you've seen in bean research that's exciting you at the moment?
Yeah, just example of varieties. One, in Kenya we have a variety called Nyota, 65 days. 65 days you plant and you harvest. That reduces people's hunger period. Because if you're able to get grain, harvest in 2 months, that's shorten your hunger period, that shorten your cash issue, because the other one will be 3 months, now 2 months. 30 days is a lot in somebody's conditions. So that's breakthrough in our genetics as well. But also different market types as well. But also breakthrough in seed systems, because as I said, we're able to double the productivity or triple the productivity because people access these ones. So we have been able to understand also the consumer. For me, it's not just a genetic, it's not just a seed, it's also understanding what drives the consumer. The high iron, that's something which, again, we have made a breakthrough. But also, the palatability of beans, we have now known we can be able to engage with the people. So the productivity, it's a breakthrough in several countries. Access to seed is a breakthrough, and understanding the consumer in order to drive our breeding, to drive our seed systems has been also another breakthrough. And then that's transformed the whole entire value chain.
Changing tack a little bit, what's your favorite bean and what's your favorite bean recipe?
I like a bean stew with a bit of chili. Wow, I enjoy. And particularly the yellow type you've seen there, that's my favorite. So it's yellow, but when you cook it, it becomes reddish. It has a secret. It's the color, how it changes, that's something, again, we need to understand it well. But it's highly palatable, it's highly tasty, minimum gas, it cooks faster. So it's very compatible with those who like chapati, rice, ugali. It has a good compatibility and versatility with many other dishes. So that's my favorite.
And if anyone is not into beans, what would be your call to action for them to get into beans?
This is a superfood, healthy food, good for your health, good for planet, good for the farmer. Even if you are not a farmer, you consume beans, you provide the market to the farmer. And the farmer will be very happy and take their kids to school. And the beans is healthy in terms of nutrition. It's a healthy food. It reduces several chronic disease, cholesterol. It helps you to manage weight. It helps you to manage this disease, which are non-communicable disease, some of them, reduction of cholesterol, good nutrients content, clean proteins, micronutrients, fiber as well, which is very important. So there are several benefits beans have, but also benefit to the smallholder. So the more you are in beans, either as a consumer, the more you provide opportunity to other people to grow, particularly women. So even if you really invest, you provide a lot of opportunity to the entire value chain, particularly to the women farmer, to the women traders in the market. But I also encourage you to even farm, get a farm and farm.
Thanks so much, JC, for the important work that you do and for also really being a bean enthusiast. So thank you so much for joining us on this show.
Thank you also, Paul, for really getting interest, partnering with us, being member of PABRA, me also being member of Beans is How. This partnership, just to give you a secret, people say, oh, how comes? I didn't see many PABRA, but you guys, you are there, you are displaying. I say, well, sometimes you don't have to be there. What matters is a partnership. This was done into partnership. So we can only provide this and other people make it happen. PABRA story does not have to be told by me or other colleagues. It's talked by people who have lived it, who don't even know this is PABRA, but that's how we work. PABRA is owned by people because there's a result and there's. So thank you being one of them, and thank you with your team too.
Thank you so much, JC. You've been listening to Future Fork, a show that explores the world of food and the decisions we can make today that will shape our future. Future Fork is produced by Disruptive Consulting Solutions and supports the SDG2 Advocacy Hub. For more info, head to the website futureforkpodcast.com. This show was produced with strategy and production support from Wavelength Creative. So you don't miss an episode of Future Fork. make sure to subscribe to or follow the show in your podcast app. And while you're there, leave us a 5-star review. It really helps others find the show. I'm Paul Newnham, and I'll see you in the next episode.